All right. I think, yeah, Mr. Chairman, you can call us to order, and then we can go to the flag salute.
Okay. Call the meeting to order.
Can I read the notification? Adequate notice of this meeting was provided in accordance with the provisions of the Senator Byron M. Bear Open Public Meetings Act. And by notice published in both the Asbury Park Press and posted on the Lakewood Municipal, posted on the Lakewood Township website. Notification to the Lakewood Township Municipal Clerk. I'd like to take a roll call for attendance. Mr. Calabro.
Here.
Mr. Flansbaum. Mr. Halverson. Mr. Katz. Mr. Schuster.
Here.
Mr. Stafford Smith.
Here.
Mr. Kirschner.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna wave the flag salute, the moment of silence for this meeting, and we're gonna go. You want to do the minutes?
Yeah, I distributed the minutes last night.
Yep.
For
Move to accept
April-
the minutes.
Carried.
We have a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays? None? Okay. All right. Anita, you want to go?
Oh, that's nice, Steve.
Better, right?
That was nice with the flag.
Yeah. We waved at it. Didn't he say we waved?
Wave the flag.
We waved the flag.
We wave the flag.
That's right. In Italy, they wave the flag.
We wave. All right.
Okay.
We'll catch up with that next meeting.
Statement of accounts?
Okay, we're on to finance.
Anita, the statement of accounts.
Yes, you have it on the second page.
You know, I noticed one thing with the accounts. I see that we have our T-hanger leases coming in on the original operations account. It's not coming in on the airport revenue account.
Right, because the T-hangers was funded by LIC prior to the transfer of the airport to LIC. And so the airport revenue account is segregated for those things that must be limited to airport. The T-hanger revenues right now are for recouping the investment in the hangars. And ultimately, that's money that we're free to spend to do roads or other things. We don't have the same restriction. Other airport revenues, like things that'll come out of direct rentals or fuel sales or the like, we're assuming now will be limited to airport sales, airport spending.
All right. So we're going to keep that separate. We're going to
For now,
keep it that way.
until we take a strategic turn the other way. But why limit ourselves more than we need to?
Oh, I get it. But,
Yeah.
you know, it might be, we can protect those funds in the airport, you know, to stay with the airport.
Yeah. Something to consider, and certainly if the commission decides that way they want to do that, we can do that. There's no reason we cannot.
Is there any way that we could possibly, at a certain time of the year, review it and then do a transfer of revenues? I mean, I'm coding them right now.
You can transfer in, but you can't transfer out. You can transfer into the airport dedicated account, but you cannot transfer out that money.
I see.
Once
So we
it's-
have more flexibility this way.
That's the idea. So there's nothing that stops us from funding it if there's something specific to fund.
Right. Okay.
So that's the statement of accounts for now. And again, it's informational, and there we just need a motion.
Yep. Move to accept the statement of accounts.
Second.
All right, all in
All in
favor?
favor. Yeah.
Aye.
Nays? None.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, just before we go to the bill list, I do want to remind anybody who's watching on the stream that we do have a dedicated email address set up in case anybody from the public has comments that they want to make. There's an email, liccomments@lakewoodnj.gov. It's posted at the bottom of the agenda for anybody who's looked at that online. And you're welcome to use it during the period of time of the open session. One of the last things we have in open session is comments from the public, and that email will be checked just before we go to that, and we'll read anything into the record that is submitted. Bill list?
The bill list is, as you can see, is separated into Lakewood Industrial Commission operations, Strand Theater operations, Strand Theater apartment revenues account. It's a total of $3,788.88.
Just a couple of quick questions about them. Number
Please.
3849, the Wings Agency. We're carrying the insurance
That's
until we
correct.
have a new FBO.
That's correct. Yeah, so
How long is that insurance payment good for? Like, what's the term on that?
that's only a partial payment. We still have,
No,
that's the completion of it. Yeah, that's it. So we're good for the year.
oh,
So we're good for the year. It's about $7,000 for the year. It's about half of what we had. So could everybody who's not actually actively speaking mute your mics because there's some background noise? Thanks. So that will give us flexibility while we negotiate with people for their potential taking over as FBO. Whenever time that happens and we enter into that kind of a contract, we will we'll be able to then go back and recoup some of that money from that policy. But in the meantime, until there is an FBO, we're the ones receiving the revenues. So that, obviously, the expenditures are going out, the revenues will be coming into us as well. Rentals, fuel profits, and so on. All of that will be coming to us.
Okay. And the other question was number 3855, constant contact. Is that that's not a monthly bill.
That's annual.
A one-shot deal?
Right?
Oh, it's
Annual,
annual,
Anita, right?
an annual bill, yes, that's a year.
Yeah.
What do we use them for?
We use them, we do our newsletter in its template. It distributes our newsletter. Any kind of email, it's an email blasting
Software, yeah.
program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hi, Mr. Katz.
How are you?
Great. Thank you.
All right. Well, I don't have any other questions on the bills. If anybody, I move to accept the bills.
Thanks. I mean, everything else on that bill list, if anybody has any questions, please ask. Let me get a second.
Hi, Rabbi Katz.
Hi.
Do I have a second on that?
A second. I muted Greg. Hold on. Greg, did you say you seconded it?
Yes, I seconded it.
I apologize. I muted you because there was something.
No worries.
And welcome, Mr. Flansbaum.
I think
I do, Mr. Flansbaum,
Well, if you
right
have
too?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm late.
No
Hey,
worries.
Justin.
Okay, it is 11:39 a.m. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like
So-
to do a roll call for the bill list. Has everybody that just came in had the opportunity to review the bill list?
I have not really.
Yes.
If you need me to vote on it, I will take a few minutes, but otherwise I'll just.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll take the roll call. Mr. Calabro,
yes.
Mr. Flansbaum,
Yes.
Mr. Halverson, he's not here. Mr. Katz,
I'll abstain.
abstain. Okay, thank you. Mr. Schuster,
The Schuster is away from them for a moment.
okay. Mr. Stafford Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes, except for item 3851.
Yes.
Yes,
That's the one.
Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, the budget to actual report reflects that there's a lot of things moving. For example, you'll see there's a couple of lines that are showing in the red. Some of that, it's not really in the red, obviously. It's just expenses that are being offset. So, for example, some of our membership, Chamber of Commerce and things like MODC that we've been members in forever. They had a slight uptick in their annual membership. We have some expenditures related to meetings like the one that Mr. Stafford Smith and I attended for public-private partnerships, other expenses related to that. You have, of course, the insurance for the airport, which we took on. And again, that'll be offset by revenues, which are not showing yet. And the other one that you see that shows a negative 245 is actually, it's under unspecifiable services or unspecified services. We're going to create a line for that. That's a pretty standard thing with the fire alarm system that we have to maintain out at the T hangars. There's an annual inspection, and that's a expenditure that we should be anticipating going forward. So that'll go in as its own line item in the future.
Where's the income from the T hangers? I don't really see it. I look at it quickly up there. I didn't see. I only saw like $1,000 coming.
It's not in the budget to actual yet because we have to reconstruct a little bit of the way the airport revenue comes in because we're taking on more of the airport revenue while we are the de facto FBO during this transition. So while we're negotiating with potential new FBO candidates, we are functioning FBO. So revenues will be coming in that we previously were not getting. And again, expenditures will be coming out. So there's a bit of a revamp of that entire budget coming. Okay. A couple of quick things for me in the report. The Strand boiler replacement project is nearing completion. I don't want to put a specific date on it, but they're due back in 2 weeks from tomorrow to do insulation around the new units. If anybody has an opportunity to visit, you'll see a completely reconfigured boiler room. That giant boiler that used to be there has been taken apart and removed. In 2 super efficient small units in there, and that will cover our needs there in the building. And it's a great upgrade. It'll be great operational savings for us and an enhancement to this asset. And so hopefully we'll be able to put a ribbon on that soon.
A quick question.
Yes.
On the Strand Theater, I wasn't there by the meetings when we took it over, but I basically I see what must have happened. We took it over and they gave us a chunk of money, I guess, to maintain it. It looks like on a monthly basis the income is a lot less than the expenditure. So at some point in the long term, if this is going to turn into a liability, or
it's hard to predict longer term. Actually, there's 2 elements to it. There's the theater and there's the apartments, and the apartments revenue is actually, except for a lot of the capital type upgrades that we've done, which are funded mostly I say, out of the capital account, which is a different pot. The regular maintenance is actually running very much in the black. So that's an actual profit center and an area that we can tap if we need to get after some of the money. It is not running in the negative right now. We've just been doing a number of capital projects, some of them because of events that took place, like the facade starting to rip off after a storm and what have you, and some of them because we're trying to put in enhancements, for the long-term viability of the building. It's not anticipated to become a liability, but the theater operation itself is not a profit center. It's mostly the.
I just looked at the number at the beginning and the end, and it keeps, on a monthly basis, it keeps going down. So I guess.
I wouldn't make a prediction about the long term. It's going to be years and years down the road. But of course, we do know that the capital fund that we have is a sinking fund, fixed amount, and we have to be careful with those expenditures. After this, I don't know of any major projects that we have slated. So hopefully next year we can recharge a little bit on this.
Okay.
The airport terminal replacement and terminal area development program. So the terminal is placed. It's been put together. The final construction work is going on there in terms of the affixing the straps is done, is going in around it, and everything's been leveled. So it's some inside work going on, repairing some of the floors, and we're going to get in there and do some non-major configuration, completely functional for use as an FBO, a terminal, and also for the flying clubs to rent space from us. So it'll be a revenue producer for the town as well. Right now, those clubs are housed in other stations that are not as good as what this will be, and so hopefully that's going to work out really well. This is, of course, only just a step in our plan to revamp the entire front end over there and add a lot of consumer-friendly value to it. So it's not just for the flying community, but if you actually go out to the airport on most days, some days when it's raining also, but certainly on any day where it's sunny, the viewing area, which is very small right now, 2 benches along the fence at the southwest the parking lot, and it's always jammed. There's always people there. We're looking for ways to enhance the experience for the public that would like to watch planes land and maybe just watch them sitting, just look at them sitting there parked. It's almost like a park experience. But there's other elements that we're in the process of planning to bring there to really enhance the entire area. In conjunction with that, you'll see later there's a request there for us to enter into a contract with our airport engineer to update our airport master plan with the FAA, which is a really critical component. The FAA must sign off on any non-aeronautic use of aeronautical side. So even if, our plan since 2006 has had a notation for a restaurant somewhere there, actually going and doing that is something they need to understand. Where are you putting it? What is the logic of it? What is your overall plan for the airport? That really needs to be updated. And more critically, in terms of timing right now, is the helipad, which we've just gotten a grant from the state to construct. According to the plan, the way it was written, that helipad was supposed to go on the northeasternmost part of the property, but just abutting the Bathgate offices. And with our current plan, that's not a great place for it to be. There's additional expense that would be incurred there and a lot of process that would be involved in creating an entirely new approach for the helicopter traffic there, and it's far away from anything. So we have had our engineers work with the state to look at other possible places where we can get helicopters deconflicted from the fixed-wing aircraft and the runways that they're using, and actually give them a dedicated approach and a landing zone. We can build a helipad there with dedicated parking. That will allow us to kind of focus on helicopters as another core competency. And the idea for where that's supposed to go is behind the tie downs. If you're familiar with the layout of the airport, it's behind the fuel and over towards the that tie down area. It really does kind of give it a dedicated area, and it'll be good for everyone. In order to facilitate that, we must do this study, together the data, the sketches, etc., submit it to the FAA and have them sign off on it. So that is then our plan going forward. So that's in there as well. And we can talk about it more when we get down to the resolution if you have questions on it. The roadway repair program, I'm going to ask Jeff to chime in on it in a moment. If anybody's been out there on Oak Street, you've seen Earl was out there doing some curb work and getting some, I think, below the roadway work. I saw some storm drain material there as well. So that prep work is being done, and I believe tonight is the kickoff of the paving. And there's some good news, but also an ask from the LIC. Jeff, want to address how well we did with the grant usage?
Thank you, Steve. There was, right, they're going to mill and pave starting tonight, Oak and Tobin. That should be done then by the end of the week. The bid for this project came in relatively low, township was awarded a $1 million grant. The bid came in really lower than what we expected. Originally, Swarthmore Avenue from Kenyon to Rutgers in the grant application. And the original thought was, since we didn't get 100% funding, that there wasn't enough funds to pave Swarthmore for that section. But with the bids coming in so low, and we believe that we will be able to pave Swarthmore from Kenyon to Rutgers. However, we would exceed the grant, the $1 million grant, by about $25,000 through conversations with Pat. He was looking for the Lakewood Industrial Commission if they would be able to fund the expenditure above the $1 million grant, which is expected to be around $25,000.
Yeah. So if I may, that's great news. That's a lot more road that we're getting done by this contractor than we had originally anticipated. And the vast majority of, as Jeff said, is coming in through the grant. Given that we have had earmarked a number of dollars to be used for Schedule C work with the county, to me, it's very logical, and I would suggest that we get behind the idea of actually supporting that expenditure. For $25,000 to get that much of Swarthmore done is a great deal for us. So, I would look for the indication from the Industrial Commission intent. Then, as we move forward, at the appropriate time, we'll do the resolution to spend the money. So, is there anybody that has any comment about it or any questions, objections, anything?
What's being asked of us?
What's being asked of us is there's $1 million of a grant that came from DOT.
And dollars and cents, what's being asked of us?
$25,000.
And what do we get for that?
A lot more of Swarthmore repaved.
Okay. Doesn't sound so bad.
No, it's an actually very good deal. And of course, we're still waiting on the county to come in, which will allow us to get some of those other roads, portions of Airport Road that haven't already been addressed, but really can use it now. Some of those roads are getting a little ratty, so we have to get back. Our public works can get to patchwork, but in terms of a mill and pave, it really is something that we'd like to do with a larger paving contract when we can. So that's in play. The last thing is I wanted to report to you on the Manufacturing Council. The state labor department has been trying to encourage manufacturers to get together and have a common voice, issues that are facing the state. So they're acting as facilitators, I think they call it. And they had their kickoff meeting of this new Manufacturing Council at one of our companies on Oak Street, Brand Aromatics, make McCormick Spice and things like that. At some point we should make of all the amazing products that come out of Lakewood Industrial Park. I don't think people know. But they had a successful kickoff. There's a number of continuing meetings, and I will participate in those meetings and as best as possible, and I will report back to the board on trends, issues, etc., things that we need to be aware of and perhaps get involved in advocacy. And everything else I have is in closed session.
Steve?
Yes, sir.
Can you just touch on the, I think they were going to use the millings for that road that goes out to the hangar. Who's going to do that?
So in the past,
Prove that.
we all have some relationships with some contractors, and whenever they're doing construction work, they have millings, and they need to dispose of them, which either can cost them money or they can come to us and we can find a place to put them. So we have a construction road. Right now, it's a construction road that runs from just south of the tie-down area, and it runs forest to our new hangars. And so every couple of years, we get some contractors who have millings to come in and lay down those millings and kind of give us a temporary paved road. I have been working with the chief of police, and we're looking at some of his contacts and ours to address that soon. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of fresh on those temporary use roads. But we should remember that that area is slated to be developed for additional airplane parking next year, I think. So a lot of the survey work and what have you has already been done. It was been done in the last few weeks. So there's that activity is afoot.
Okay.
Anything else there? Okay. Mr. Attorney?
Yes, Steve, just for private session, a litigation update.
Okay. Okay. The agenda. Old business, we discussed it. New business, I will say that the fellow who was running, two things I want to say actually. I don't know if it fits in old business or new business. We had besides for the flying clubs that exist at the airport, which provide instruction, we had a separate private flight school that was housed at Lakewood Airport. The fellow who was running it has retired, had some health issues and what have you, and we're in discussions with a new flight school that hopefully we'll have progress on in the coming months. I also want to call out, I don't want to get into too many details of it, but the Adler and Cedarcom in cooperation pulled off a great thing for Lakewood Industrial Park and helping to develop a campus feel in the old Payco Pharmaceuticals section, and it's really something that we're going to shine a spotlight on soon, be able to kind of promote to the world what kind of core competencies we already have in the industrial park, how through this cooperation or co-opetition, whatever you want to call it, we can actually do great things for the park and for the area. So we've been able to retain hundreds of jobs that might have gone elsewhere and actually create a core competency, and we'll have more details on that coming out soon. Comments from the public? I don't have anything. Anita, did you get anything?
No, let me just do another,
Just real quick, Steve, under new business, did you want to discuss
Yes.
the bike path?
So, yeah, I discussed it with Pat, and we have a little bit more work to do, some legwork to do on it before we're ready to actually move on a specific plan. But there is a plan. Everybody knows there's a plan to do some bike path in the industrial park. There isn't enough funding as yet to do a larger scale bike or walking path around the park as had been originally envisioned, but there may be the opportunity to do kind of a test.
Get maybe some of the property owners to like adopt a part of their of the bike path, that type of thing, like adopt a highway.
Adopt it in the sense of caring for it or paying for it?
Both.
So the answer is maybe, but we need to have a very specific idea of where it's going, how it's going. Right now, we don't have a plan for how to do it on a large scale throughout the entire park, and we've only had here and there discussions with property owners, some of whom have had concerns about where is it going to go on my property, how does that impact my property, do I want the public kind of traversing my property? There's a lot that really need to get worked through, but yes, definitely. And to about adopting things, we've had owners in the park that have offered to sponsor, kind of adopt a highway in the sense of beautification, and that may be something that we want to get back after. At one point, we had that going for Oberlin to kind of keep flowers and things like that in the islands. But as you know, with all the work that's been going on at Oberlin and Cedar Bridge, those islands have either disappeared or been shaved or but it's something we should look at, whatever the final product is, there's a way to engage in that as well. So that's a good idea. Thank you.
Steve, is there any more on the sign project?
I have not spoken to them recently, but I will get back to them and see if they made progress with the TP standards so that we could spruce that up. Let me make a note of that. Thank you. Okay. There's no consent agenda, but there is the one resolution which I spoke to before, the professional services contract with the DY Consulting, who's our port engineers, and we've had them engaged with FAA to kind of fine tune what the project would be so that we don't end up with a net project that's still lacking at all, but doesn't become so full blown that it's out of control. I will tell you the originals for 44 and change. So
Make a motion, we get involved. Get it done.
A second.
okay. Nita, we call the roll on that one?
Yeah. Mr. Calabro?
Yes.
Mr. Flansbrough?
Yes.
Mr. Katz?
He's on mute.
Is he away?
No, he was muted. Cats?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I don't know.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Mr. Katz is on mute, I see.
Yeah, he may be.
Mr. Stafford Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello? Did I mute? I'm back.
You're here. Muted himself again. Unmute.
I think I'm on mute. You don't hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Did you want to? We were taking a roll call on that, the resolution to enter the contract with DY to enable us to do that
Paving?
updated. No, the updated
Oh,
plan
that's it.
for the airport.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, I'll vote yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I don't see anything from the public. Do we have?
Is there a public on this meeting?
The public is watching it on the stream, and we have an established email where they can submit comments, which we then read into the record as we did in the past.
I
So,
understand.
seeing no comments, I guess we'll close comments from the public. Okay, we get a motion to go into closed session.
Move to go to closed session.
Second.
Motion was by Mr. Calabro
Yes. Second, Justin.
and second by Mr. Justin.
Yep.
Okay.
All in favor?
Roll-
Aye. Good. Anita, you want to read the?
Yes, I'll be able to read the resolution into the minutes. Whereas Section 7B of the Senator Byron M. Bear Open Public Meetings Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting under circumstances, and whereas this industrial commission of the Township of Lakewood is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Industrial Commission of the Township of Lakewood in the County of Ocean as follows. The public shall be excluded from the discussion of private and confidential matters involving any of the 9 exclusions as set forth in 7B of said law and is hereinafter specified. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows: contract negotiations and litigation. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter will be made public only when reasons for discussing and acting on them in closed session no longer exists. Said determination to be made by further resolution adopted by the Industrial Commission, and the resolution shall take place immediately, shall be effective immediately. Time now is 12:05 p.m.
Thank you. Starting the stream. And let's see. Yeah, okay. I think we're back up. We're back up on delay. Okay. Mr. Chairman, any comments, Mr. Chairman?
I just have a question for you. How many types of gas are we going to offer?
Gas?
Regular and jet fuel?
Yeah, there's the gas that they sell mostly. There's avgas, 100 low lead, and we also have a tank for Jet A, which is used by jets and helicopters. That'll be good. We can already start to market that as soon as that's up and running. And there's another type of gas, but we don't have. There's something called MoGas, which is it's a little bit more specialized. Actually, some planes that we had at the airport, like the ultralights, use that gas, but we don't have a tank for that. Although there's a user looking at coming to the airport that may want to invest in that, so we may ultimately accommodate another tank. So then we would have 3 types of gas.
How does it work? Is there a vendor involved that just comes and makes sure the tank is always full?
No.
They take care of that. We have no hands in there.
No, we do. We have to monitor the levels, and we call for an order of fuel whenever we see it running low. So, but
That's only until we have an FBO.
Yeah, then the FBO will do the same, but it is not. It's not like your home oil provider who just comes on a regular schedule and makes sure that you're topped off. That's not the way you want to do it. And anyway, there's issues with with this gas. You want to try and be smart about it because there's a venting and you have evaporation. You don't want to overbuy because then you're burning a lot of your products right out the vent. So yeah, it takes a little bit of management, but it's not that extensive.
The FBO would take right together.
Yes.
Let him take care of it. We're
Okay. Any other comments? Any comments from commissioners? Liaison?
No, just keep up the good work. You guys are doing great. I want to thank you for behalf of the Township Committee. You're
Thank
really
you.
putting the time in.
Thank you, and I want to thank the Township Committee because that roads project through RVE as well for that grant. We kept pressing at it, and it finally came through, and we're getting a lot of bang for the buck there. So that's very exciting. We're happy about that.
Michael, that's wet. I painted it.
Mr. Chairman, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Right, adjourn Dalia. I move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
What's that?
all in favor.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.